Going on in Iowa right now, where Brian Schweitzer, guest on this show a few weeks ago, now out there really kind of starting to give a preview of what it would be like if he's running against Hillary Clinton. The obvious question is, we always talked in the run-up to 2008 about how invincible Hillary Clinton was going to be. We were all totally wrong about that, but that said, she looks 10 times stronger. Sorts of reasons heading into 2016 if she runs than she did in 2008. When you look at Brian Schweitzer out there this week, do you think there's room, John, for a candidate like him?
I do. I think I'm still questioning whether or not I think he really is going to put his energy into this, or if he's going to put his energy up to the point where it becomes a decision he has to make and then decides to back off like he did with the Senate race in Montana. And I think, the difference between now and 2008 in places like Iowa is that beyond just the work she's done as Secretary of State, people feel like they owe her now. There's much more of we went with Obama in the last time. This time, this is hers. We really like her. Even some of the concerns we may have had, we're going to put that aside and give this to Hillary Clinton.
And she made. I mean, it was such a contentious primary in 2008, but it ended with
so close.
Right, and she had 17, 18 million votes, or whatever the exact number was. She didn't, fight it out to the convention. She was a loyal, sort of soldier in the fall. She had the job as Secretary of State, and then her husband, Bill, delivers that keynote address at the convention last summer that I think made a lot of Democrats sort of built an enormous amount of goodwill, I think, that they've sort of built back over the last few years.
There are a couple of things to keep in mind. The reason that Martin O'Malley or Andrew Cuomo isn't going to run is they are now governors. They're establishment figures. If she runs, it would look very bad. It doesn't look bad for Brian Schweitzer. And if you're getting out there, just in case something happens, if she stumbles or if something else occurs, that's one thing. The second thing is, there's a room for a populist candidate, a strong left-wing populist in the Democratic Party. Part of it is every time a two-term president emerges, you get grumbling from the base. And now you've got serious grumbling from the base. Environmental issues, fiscal issues, immigration, the deportations, and the NSA and all of the other things combined with that. So Schweitzer's going to have some appeal out there. But having said that, you look at other candidates who've spent a lot of Iowa. Chris Dodd, who is a very impressive guy, moves his family there and gets nothing out of it. The idea that just because you visit 99 counties or you ensconce yourself in Iowa, you're going to get somewhere, Right.
Although you're getting into that, like the idea of Schweitzer sort of being the insurgent candidate, and Chris Dodd, after 38 years or whatever in Congress, probably couldn't.
But also, the country's a lot bigger than Iowa. And when people first sat up and took notice of Barack Obama, was way before he won Iowa, when he posted fundraising numbers that equaled or exceeded over a certain quarter Hillary's fundraising numbers. And that's what made him a serious candidate when he showed
in his speech, he had that speech at the convention in 2004.
And because of that, he was able to, he was able to raise those funds. It's hard to see Schweitzer doing that unless he's got some way of, it's a big country, it takes an awful lot of money to run for president, and he would have to come up with some source of being able to raise serious money if he wants to be a serious candidate.
I got to get this piece of news this week, and I want to ask you, Nan, what you think of this. But this is my hobby. Jerry Brown urged to run for president, won't rule out 2016 bid. This was the LA Times this week. We've talked a little bit about this show. Jerry Brown has run for president 3 times before. If he were 5 years younger, I swear he'd be a little more aggressively in the mix. But for the record, that was in the news this week as well. Somebody not ruling out 2016. But Nan, when you look at, as a Republican, when you look at what's going on the Democratic side, is Hillary Clinton the candidate you don't want to run against in 2016?
No, I think there are going to be a lot of great tailwinds, a lot of great opportunity for whoever the Republican nominee may be in 2016. And my biggest concern is that the country end up with a president after that election who will cause our economy, encourage our economy to grow. Having said that, looking at the Democratic field, one senses that there is, and it's a natural thing, a certain amount of, although Secretary Clinton has obviously an extremely impressive base, a lot of strength, there's a certain amount of fatigue, too. There's familiarity. There's a bit of boredom. So I think Brian Schweitzer has sort of a jujitsu opportunity there to turn, her strength into his strength because, he's the alternative to Hillary. He's going to get some attention. Same with Jerry Brown. It's
we're going to see
something
different. A huge effort, unprecedented on the part of the Democratic establishment to get this candidacy settled early and have the advantage of incumbency without an incumbent. Let the Republicans rip each other apart.
Right, a lot of pressure for nobody else to get the idea that Brian Schweitzer apparently has. What will